Gonna head out and look at some cars today. There's a performance pack level 2 Mustang in the town of Brenham, Texas. It's like a poor man's GT350. Like I said, the Rebel is a poor man's power wagon. The way I look at the performance pack 2, it's like a poor man's GT350. It's a lot less than a GT350, but it's about the best performing Mustang GT you can buy out of the factory. So let's go check it out. Where are the Mustangs? I see a few right here. Ah, yes. Performance pack level 2. You can tell by the added front balance. Characterized by the Michelin Sport Cup 2s, 305 in width. Pack 2 Mustang GT was awesome. Had the 401A package, so it had the digital dash, the Sync 3 with navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, leather Recaro seats, $8,000 off MSRP. The MSRP was about $50,000 for that, and they were going to take $42,750 for it. That is an amazing deal. They said they've had it for quite a while. I don't know what it is about Performance Pack 2. I guess unless you're an enthusiast, you're not very interested in it. I don't know. I mean, it's an amazing car. I mean, the tires might be a turn-off because they're very expensive and they're pretty much track tires, but I mean, you can always just swap those out. maybe the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. But amazing car, amazing color. I really loved it. It drives so nice, and then with that digital cluster. But we're on our way now back to Austin. There's a 2020 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with a manual transmission. I believe it's one of the only ones. It's the only one that came up on Chrysler's website when you filter it for a manual, the 6-speed manual transmission versus the 8-speed automatic. Very curious to see what that drives like. I wasn't a fan of it on the Wrangler JLs. I don't know, it feels like a toy shifter, even though, you know, it's running a cable linkage now, not direct to the transmission, so it doesn't, the stick doesn't shake. But I mean, they've been doing that on the Mustangs for quite a while now, and it still feels more engaging when on a vehicle like a Mustang. I don't know what it is they do that's different with the transmission shifter, but it's just not very engaging in the Jeep Wrangler JL's manual, 6-speed manual transmission, at least in my opinion. And maybe it's just the fact that it was a sport model and the gearing was pretty tall. I'm not quite sure what it was, but I just wasn't that impressed with it. I like the way the manual in my 04 Wrangler TJ shifts. I like the way it shifts better than the Wrangler JL. But who knows, maybe it's different with the Rubicon, and maybe it's different with the JT or the Gladiator. Who knows, I'd be really curious to see what that drives like. The hood propped up while driving. I guess when the dealership looked at my car, they didn't shut the hood tight enough. I got to merge out onto this highway here at 75 miles per hour. See how this goes. Extremely bad wreck on the 290 just before Elgin. Had to take a little detour through some back roads. It was like a 35 to 40 minute delay, but we're almost back on track here. Picking up their new Jeeps. And Jeep Gladiator. Forward-facing truck. 6-speed manual. Mind if I start it? Really start it?
No, like I said, if you let's drive it. That way you can at least feel how to. You know, I hadn't driven all the cars that I've driven that have been a standard lately have been kind of performance cars. Yeah. So when I drove this, it felt
really
a
little different.
easy.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, you know, the clutch is pretty light, you know, and everything's.
Oh man, this thing's nicely equipped. I've had several Jeeps.
Have you?
I've never had a Gladiator.
I
think this would, because I've had trucks and I've had Jeeps, this would be like the ultimate.
It's really
having both in one.
You know.
So. Low
like
fuel.
22. Oh, you know where I should have checked that out.
That's fine.
Before we left.
I'm sure there's usually a cushion in there too. You know.
Does it give a range? 29 miles? Yeah.
This handles so nicely for a truck. I mean, this handles better than my Ram. It's more nimble. This thing is selling me. Oh man.
Yeah, they're fun.
I start to see why they can ask so much for these. That was my first turn off when they first came out.
Yeah.
Especially with the they had the launch edition.
Right.
And those things were all like 60
and that
plus.
Thing loaded, totally loaded.
Yeah, they were nice, very loaded.
Yeah.
But just, man, I couldn't even grasp, you know, spending that much for, you know, a Jeep truck. Basically a Jeep with a little bit longer wheelbase and a, now we're getting stuck here. No.
Oh, if you can't get over it, it's hard.
He's letting us on.
We'll all get around, man.
This thing's even stable at high speeds.
Yeah, and
it's windy
I was
too.
gonna say, we're catching a south wind today that's pretty stiff.
And it's still pretty decent. I am amazed.
It definitely doesn't like.
Yeah, my 08, I had an 08 Rubicon, and well, it was lifted on 35. That was probably part of it. But when it was windy, that thing would just, you were like fighting it all day, and like your hand would get sore. And
it's true. Like you said, it's constantly.
This is like, I could drive this with my finger, like on a windy day. I mean, probably make you nervous. Like, just don't drive with your finger. But what's the best? Weather just won't make up its mind. It's
no, Texas. How long you lived here?
6 years.
Okay. So you know.
Somewhat used to it, yeah. Especially this time of year. This is when it changes a lot.
Yeah. You can catch anything. You can catch ice to 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Just whatever.
Oh yeah, I like this better than the Sport. It was a Sport that I drove, so it wasn't as peppy.
Handled different, you know, and stuff than that Sport.
Yeah. Extremely impressive. Well, I must say I was actually really impressed with that Gladiator. I didn't like the way the manuals drove with the Wrangler JLs, but for some reason, and it was a Sport JL, mind you, so that might have a lot to do with it. The Gladiator Rubicon JT with the 6-speed manual, the shifter feels much more engaging. It's a lot more peppy, obviously, with the different gearing with the Rubicon, and I think that's contributing to why it seems to feel a lot better to me. And just being in the Gladiator format, the vehicle is much more solid, much the longer wheelbase helps make it feel a little bit more stable on the road than say a 2-door Wrangler or even the 4-door. So it feels more stable, but then since I drive a Ram Rebel, this feels much more nimble and sporty than the Ram Rebel does. It's like almost like the perfect medium, the in between a 2-door Jeep and a Rebel or any half-ton pickup. I was really impressed with that. I mean, now do I think it really should charge 60 grand for that? That I'm still wondering, because I mean a Ram Rebel costs loaded about the same thing, and then you got a vehicle with a Hemi and much, you know, larger, it can tow more, but it's not a unicorn. It can't go off-road the way that a Jeep Rubicon can, or a Gladiator Rubicon. I mean, you just put a 2.5-inch lift on there and you're fitting 37s on that thing and going just about anywhere. I mean, check out my video called Let's Go Wheelin'. Eric's 4-door JL Rubicon is on a 2.5-inch lift with 37s on it, and he was going down extremely steep shelves and climbing, you know, obstacles with ease that the rest of us were climbing well, but he would just go over them like nothing, wouldn't even come close to touching his undercarriage. I'm just thinking, man, that on a Gladiator is going to be awesome. You got this go anywhere, do anything adventure truck, and you can still take the top off of it, take the doors off of it, have fun in the sun, and bring all your gear. I'm just thinking beach, you know, haul everything in the back to the beach, take that top off, and it's just an awesome vehicle. I mean, then I start to kind of see why they want so much for it, because it is so unique. So anyway, this is gonna wrap it up for today's little adventure, today's little sightseeing, test driving adventure. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Take care.